today's topic, I'm taking a very beautiful, a strong biblical character called Ruth. Ruth means grace. There is a story in the Bible about a woman for her endurance, her persistence, and her love for her mother in law. She is known as Ruth in the book. And in the Bible, there are many writings which are known as the KETUVIM writings. The KETUVIM writings are stories of 11 books which are showing the ways, the characters, and about the Jewish people of that time and their relationship with the covenant of God. There is a woman called Naomi and her husband who were Judean, but due to the famine there in Judah, they left their place and came to Moab. He had 2 sons and they were brought up there grew up into young boys. There on the other side, they married later to the Moabite girls. Ruth was a Moabite. During the traditions there, the Moabites were not God worshippers, they were pagan worshippers, and they worshipped Baal, who always is famous for the traditional sacrifice of a girl child. People of the Moabite tribes, they would give their daughters, little girls, small little girls, as offerings to Baal for their prosperity, for their other well-being in their life. So Ruth was a small little child given to the temple for sacrifice. The sacrificial girls were brought up there with some chants they would learn, and they were to be sacrificed for Baal, killed and put in the furnace in front of that character, the pagan god. So she too was one day chosen to be used as a sacrificial girl. But it happened that she fell down and had a bruise. So the little girls who were sacrificed used to be unblemished, but she had a scar in her hand, so she was rejected. And then the rejected children grew up into the temple, serving the temple people and gods and doing other temple works. So it so happened that while she was growing up into a beautiful girl, on the other side, Naomi and her 2 sons also grew up into handsome boys. Naomi's husband was a goldsmith, making gold ornaments. The sacrificial children would wear a veil on their face and a golden crown over their head. So one of the day, the order had come to them to make the golden crown for that sacrificial child. He went to supply that crown. But in the garden, he met Ruth, a beautiful young girl. They fell in love, and on and off they would meet, and that is how it all started, and they eloped one day. That was quite a thing, and punishable thing. So what happened is that they one day eloped, but unfortunately, people get punished for that. And during that time, the prisoners and the slaves were used for the mines, for the gold mines and for the other precious stones, bronze and other things. So these 2 boys and their father went to that gallows, and they were never to come back. They will die there doing the mining. So Oprah thought that I have lost now both my children and my husband. All the 3 men in her life were gone. So she made up her mind to go back to Bethlehem from where she had come. She asked her daughter-in-laws to go back and get married again. They were young girls without children. But the elder one did eventually go back. Ruth insisted, and she said, "No, I will go with you." Though she was a pagan woman worshipping pagan god, but then she said, your people shall be my people, and your God shall be my God. Where you die, I too will be died and buried there. So I am going to come with you, whatever it may be. I am not leaving you. So her persistent saying no for going back to her people, but going with her mother-in-law took her with her. And when she reached Bethlehem, people recognized her. Oh, that's Naomi. She's come back. But she said, don't call me Naomi, call me Mara. I went full and I'm coming back empty. So that is how she brought there. Her husband's land was also there. So she said, okay, I'm going to stay here. Young Ruth now wanted to take charge of the house, hold stuff, and to create some money, she told her mother-in-law and took her permission that I want to go and work among the reapers and bring food in the house, because that is what we need now to live. After taking permission from her mother-in-law, she went there and would help take the baskets and take the grain and come home and help her mother-in-law with the cooking and all that. One day the master of the owner of the field came and he asked, who is this young little girl, beautiful girl? Said, she is Ruth, Naomi's daughter-in-law. And they told her the entire story of what happened to this girl and her mother-in-law. That man was Boaz. Boaz was a very wealthy, rich man and a relative of Naomi's husband also. So he had more compassion on that girl. He told the reapers, give her more, let her take more, and even leave something for her to pick up. He told the female reapers to be all around her, so she is guarded and she is not harassed by others. That is how he started taking protection of her, and she told all of it to her mother-in-law. Mother-in-law sensed that now she could be more happy and have some protection from my relative, my husband's relative. So she asked Ruth that you go one day in the night, just sit near his feet, so that when he opens his eyes, he'll see that you were there for the night. You must be having something to say. When Boaz got up, he saw her and said, little child, what are you doing? Or why, what do you want? So he said, okay, since your mother-in-law also wants to sell the land, but I have to first give the chance to your relatives. So he called the relatives, the 10 relatives at the judgment place, wherever they exchange the land. And the clause that he had put is that Naomi wants to sell the land of her husband, and whatever she owns to her son also is being sold. The part that belonged to Ruth's husband will be sold also. And whoever takes that land has to take Ruth as his wife. To which all the relatives rejected. They wanted the land, but they didn't want Naomi's daughter-in-law. First she was a widow and then she was a Moabite. So the rejection was there from the relatives. Then when the relative rejected her, Boaz said, okay, then I redeem her. I will marry her. So he married her. Therefore, the life of Ruth changes. And she becomes a very wealthy woman, living with him, and her mother-in-law also was well looked after. Later, through Ruth and Boaz, a son was born whose name was Obed. From Obed came Jesse. From Jesse came David. From David, the lineage came Joseph, and from Joseph, the father of our Jesus. So therefore, a lineage from Ruth and Boaz is the line from where Jesus was born, that a line of David. What we understand I understand actually from the character of Ruth, if the woman is persistent, she is persistent, she was very enduring, she was very loving, she was very caring, and she did took charge of the old mother-in-law who was a widow herself, as Ruth was a widow that time. So whenever any misfortune or any suffering of health, wealth, or any kind happens in our lives, it becomes the purpose of God. He's using as a purpose to glorify himself and show the powers of God. Ruth's persistence was so much that God blessed her immensely. These books of Ruth, Esther, these are as written that Merchandise, the cousin or the relative of Esther, he wrote it. But somewhere it is written that it was Samuel the prophet of the 11th century who wrote it. So it is not very clear, but that's these books, the writings like Psalm, the Song of Solomon, and there are other 11 books in the Bible. These are the writings and stories which are included in the Bible to show and make people understand how the Jewish people followed the covenant in relationship with God. Therefore, they are put there in the biblical canons. Any woman in the house or any woman in the world, when the calamity comes in the form of health, wealth, or anything, death, if she stays very strong and her faith in God remains very strong, a redeemer is sent by God in any form. Like in Ruth's case, it was Boaz, a redeemer, who helped her and she became a different person. Our Jesus came from her line, a strong blessing. We too can be a good blessing to our children, to our families. If any misfortune comes, do not ever disbelieve in the strong powers of God, but stay strong, be persistent. A woman who stays strong has a strong family. A weak woman has a broken family. Always. It's written there, it's seen in the world, and we in our lifetime also experienced many women with broken families because the women didn't keep themselves strong in faith. When you keep yourself strong in faith, your family is strong. The mother is a very strong character in the house, a woman. So never ever consider yourself weak in the times of calamity, in the times of problems. God will work through you for the family. The strong character of a woman in the biblical canon that we have is so encouraging for people whose life may have had certain calamity. But if you read the characters of these people, these women in the biblical Bible stories, so much of encouragement comes to women who have had problems or calamities or have widowed, because they show us how much faith makes a woman a very strong person in the family. So stay strong, be like Ruth, and take a control of your emotions and your family. God is always there to help you. A redeemer in any form comes into your lives And whenever you are in trouble, God always sends a person, a redeemer, in any form to help you out, come out from that calamity. This was a message for women of the world today, that any problems you come to face, do not let it break you. But the best verses that I liked of Ruth was when she said to Naomi, "Your God is my God. Where you go, I go. Where you die, so shall I die." What a strong faith she had in her, in the God of Naomi. And she left her pagan religion. And that was one of the many reasons for her to get a redeemer like Boaz in her life. A very encouraging story. Do go through it in the Bible. Read whenever you feel like reading it, and it helps you a lot. I, as a woman, also feel very strong when I read such characters of the Bible, and it helps me a lot too. Thank you so much for watching me and my video. These are very small efforts from my side to spread the word of God and be of some use in my life for people by whatever I read and understand and I share with others. Do like, subscribe, and share my videos to as many people as you want to. It will be such a help to me and encouraging thing for me to make more and better videos for you all and for you all to follow. Thank you so much for watching me. This is Anita Binapal from Mussoorie, in the beautiful mountains of Himalayas that I live here. Thank you so much for watching me, and I love you all. Thank you. Bye.